I've been cleaning up around here a little bit. Oh my gosh, I threw out so much stuff. Um, a lot of stuff I don't even know why I had, to be honest. It happens. There's a fine line between saving stuff because you're going to use it and saving stuff because you're a hoarder. Not that I think I was a hoarder, but I had a lot of stuff I wasn't going to use. So anyway, a lot cleaner around here. Actually put up the last of my puppet racks. Let me see if I can get a view of it. But, let's see. I might be able to get it. Wait. Like that. There we go. Okay, here we go. This is very dubious. All right, so I put up this kind of vertical. Put up this vertical one. So I got Mayberry, Sam, Ralph, and then Sammy will go down here next to their drawings of them. So we'll see. We'll see if I keep that. But I'm running out of wall space, so so that took care of that problem. Just a second. Okay, so almost done fixing Sam. I got a lot done on him yesterday. So he's got his eyes back on. I didn't have to run any stitches at all around the sides, which I love. I just basically put those posts on like I did with Roberta, and I painted it, put the black back on, put the posts on, and then sunk them, and actually got some washers and some nuts that fit, and was able to sink those. And then his body didn't need work, so I put that back on. And then all that's left is figuring out if I really want to fix these hands. Because, I mean, they're serviceable the way they are. The thing that I hate about it is that I have some puppets that have one way of doing it and other puppets that have another way of doing it. And I'd rather have them all the same. Well, let me see. So what we got here. So this is one of those pockets like BJ and Swazzle uses, which is the way I used to do it. And all the other puppets have the bent arm rod like Adam Krudinger used. So I've been swapping stuff over to this, and I've done this once. I did this on a client's puppet, but it's been 12 years or so since I built this puppet, so who knows what's inside here. So let's see. I think my best bet is to pull out this pocket, actually pull out this whole hand thing. It'll still be attached, but I got to pull it out and then see if it's salvageable. Or I could just leave it the way it is and just be okay with it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. think I'm going to have to take out this whole side here. I realize I'm doing this backwards. There we go. Oh, it's all glued. What a mess. It's good to do this so that it works, but is solid, but it's not always good when you have to make changes. Hey, TC. Could be. I'm doing carpal tunnel on this thing. Boy, I did a good job on this. I want to say that I finished this puppet up. Well, no, I didn't. I did some repairs on it a few years ago, but I didn't. It was actually finished back in the old shop, so probably 2014 or so. This is the one that was. This is the other one that was stolen, and I rebuilt it. And then when the insurance didn't want to pay, I kind of lost interest in rebuilding them. Okay, let's see if I can get this thing out. Boy, you can see how the color of this foam has changed over the years. This is the. Let's see if I have a piece of it. I just took out my trash, so I don't have a whole lot. So it went in this color, and now, 10 years later, that's what it looks like. Wait, you can insure puppy? Yeah, you can insure it. If you have a business, you have to, actually. Yeah, we had a shop, and we were in a mall, and we had to carry $1 million insurance on the place. And then when we tried to collect on it, they didn't actually want to insure it because they said puppets weren't worth that much. Okay. I'm wondering if it's better to take off all this foam and make new hands. Let's see what it looks like. This is like an archaeological dig of the way I used to build. Oh, this is going to be pretty easy, actually. All right. So good news is I still have a pallet. I have a. Did you see? Remember how I do the zip ties? You can see now. Back then, I used to stitch all the way around here, and that was a big pain. Which is why I started using the zip ties. Yeah, it could be. All right. So far, so good. They're going to have to do the same thing on my hand. I have a little cyst here that needs to be taken out. So good to see a little preview. I think before I do anything, I'm going to open up this other hand, do the same thing. So that way, if this is a big pain, I have no excuse as to, oh, well, maybe I'll just leave it. It's okay the way it is. The good news is if I built it this way, I probably built Mayberry the same way. So he should be pretty easy to put together too. There's going to be pretty extensive updates to him. He was rebuilt, I believe, in 2015 or 16, something like that. See, there's just polyfill in there. A shoelace. This is, I believe it's a type of gasket rubber. I think that's what I used back then. I asked what type of material this was. This stuff right here. Get rid of those. And if this rips too much, I'll just make a new one. But it's kind of nice leaving as much of it as I can. Okay, let me make sure I have a right and a left. That one to be... Oh, wait. He has a specific arm. So that black spot goes on his right arm. So that's his right. And this would be his left. Okay. Here's his old arm rods, which are still in pretty good shape. Okay. And I want them to be the same size as these guys. So it looks like I need to chop them off up here at the where I made the flag originally. Okay, here's one. There's two. Well, no going back now. Okay, I'm gonna bend the end of this to be the same as this other one. I think they're gonna be a little bit longer. I just basically want to make sure every one of them has basically the same curve, so that I can, doesn't matter which arm rod I grab, they'll work. Okay, so there's one of them. It's pretty close. I should make a jig. There's the other one. Okay. Get that out of the way. Okay. Darn it, I went to Home Depot twice in the last 2 days, and I didn't pick up more wire. I'm almost out, so. I have plenty of this wire, which is 20. This is what I need, but I don't have hardly any of the other. Is it a project if you don't end up there 12 times? What do you mean? Because I've rebuilt this puppet like 15 times. Let's see. I built him in 94, and then again in 96. And then 2001, and then 2003, and then 2007 ish. And then I rebuilt him in 2011. It got stolen, and then I built this one in 2012 ish. Oh, Home Depot. Yeah. Darn it. I think I cut that too short. See, that's what I would get for gabbing. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little short. It's cheap, though. Okay. I want it to stick out just past the end of the hand plate. I made a bunch of stands today. That was a big thing I did. Puppet stands. This is really only hard to do the first time. After that, it loosens up a little bit. And it doesn't help that there's paint on this. Okay. So I wanted it to be down to the straight part, and I wanted to stick out the end just a little bit. Maybe it's a little too long. But the other one was pretty short. The other one only went to here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's quite a bit shorter. Ha ha! Hey, Charles. Glad to see you back. Yeah, Charles. What are you working on right now? Neil, I've been using bike spokes and their threaded inserts in a 3D printed piece lately for Kermit style hands. How do you keep it from untwisting off? Like, I don't like the threaded ones because that's what the bike spokes are. They're threaded, right? How do you keep it when you're moving the hand around to not just come undone? And do you buy your bike spokes just as is, or do you have to go in search of abandoned bicycles everywhere? I mean, the nice thing is they're hollow, right? So you could run a wire down them if you really wanted to, or a thread. I work very old school. That drives Karen crazy. She's been trying to get me to do 3D printed stuff for a while. Working on pulling my hair out. LOL. This is Charles. Digimon character that I sent you a picture of, hand sewing his belly badge. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I am happy that I don't think I have too much hair left to build. Well, I don't have too much hair, but I also have too much hair to attach, which, guy, 3 puppets back to back where I had to make those hair tufts was just a bit much. Neil, it seems to thread in deep enough that I haven't had an issue as of yet with it. I get them at the bike shop. It's $1 for 14-inch one. These are actually solid with a little L-shaped bend in the end, or I-shaped. Huh. Well, there's a million ways to do everything, as I always say. It's whatever works. I tell you, this was just like, I'm going to have to retrofit Eddie as well, because he doesn't have removable arm rods. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get the arm rods all removable on them all, and then the first one's going to fail, and then I'm going to see my life flashing before my eyes as every puppet that I've built in the last 2 years slowly starts to fall apart. But until that day, yeah, I've heard people using umbrella tines. Is that what they call them? Spokes. Which is a pretty good way to do it too. I mean, we all started with coat hangers. I just need to get on there just a little bit farther. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the way it used to always be for me when I was making the Melonful puppets back for San Diego Comic-Con. I would usually start with... I'm not sure who I used to start with, but I used to start with a puppet, probably Ralphie I would start with, because he was the one that was used the least. And then I try out everything. Mouth grip, the hands, anything that I was doing that was new and innovative, I would try out on that first puppet. And I'd test them for a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to mark that on there. I would test it on the puppet, and then if that worked, I'd move on to the next character, and I'd build 6 of them. And usually Mayberry was the last one, because I always wanted him to be the best, because it was mine, the one that I would be puppeteering. And then usually by the time I finished Mayberry, the first one would break. And the mouth palette I tried didn't work real well. And I was like, uh-oh. And the hands would start to slip, but I'd be like, oh no. Because I knew that I had built 5 other puppets exactly the same way. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. And sure enough, by the end of Comic-Con, all 6 of the puppets were messed up. And that was, just like, what a nightmare. Okay, so I want to make sure I do this right. So this is that arm. That is that arm. Okay, we're good on that one. So. Okay. You can see all the stitches I put in this thing, though. Stick puppets used to use piano wire, he called it. Oh, yeah, piano wire is basically, it's similar to what I use, which is welding rod. Okay, let me get my grill. Here we go. Stigmata. Well, this is about 16. This is about 12 years old. This foam, and again, that's what it looked like before and after. It's still pliable though. It's not. It probably has only a couple years left on it. I should probably replace it out, but then what would I do in a couple of years? I don't think I went all the way through. This is almost a leather. It's in here. You know what it reminds? It might be a neoprene. It reminds me of what's like on a flip flop, or yeah, I'm not sure what this is. Well, it's what I'm stuck with because I'm not starting over from scratch. Yeah, no, it did age. I mean, it didn't do it so quickly, but it definitely has aged. But haven't we all? I think Pac-Man. I mean, I guess so. I guess Pac-Man could look like a Muppet to some extent. I think he kind of looks like, what are those? What were the Muppetoons? Muppetones? Kind of looks like those. Okay. I mean, honestly, as much of a pain as this is, it's still faster than building a hand from scratch. Although the system that was in there originally was perfectly serviceable. It's just, again, I wanted them all to be the same. Yeah, Muppet phones. Okay. I think I want these on the inside of the hand. I gotta get in here and see. And I guess if this all falls apart, then I know I should have done it from scratch. Sorry, I'm probably blocking the view, but I can't see these holes. There it goes. Okay. Oh boy, this is gonna be a pain. All this stuff on here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mayberry puppet may not have a palm at all in it, which won't be the end of the world. But well, no, he had the pockets at one point, so he might be set up exactly like this one. Okay, there's one. I think I'll finish up one hand. Maybe both of them. I don't know. It is so hard to see the places I drilled. Oh my gosh. Okay, there it is. See, it's about this time that I kind of regret not using bicycle spokes and 3D printed mouth or hand palette. Oh my gosh. It's like it closed up on me after I drilled it. Oh, there goes one. There we go. Okay. I want to get this as tight as I can without snapping this wire. Okay. Okay, one more. I think they close up. Maybe from a self-healing mat or something. Okay. All right, that's in there nice and solid. Okay, I'm gonna glue this guy back together. See if I can get his hand back together. So the question from Charles is, when are you going to make mech hands on your puppet builds? And I'll say never. Very rarely. I can't think of anything I want to do less. It just always seems like something that seems like a good idea. How often you really will use it versus how often will somebody use it and then break it before you can actually use it for something? That's kind of the reason I don't do it. I had a piece of cardboard or someplace. Yeah, but I think honestly, I think there's nothing wrong with using 3D parts and stuff, but it is kind of cool to know how to do it besides that, like the mechanics behind it. I don't know. I kind of feel like if something breaks on set, it's you'll be able to do something like this on the fly rather than having to wait for a 3D printed piece to be printed. Sorry, couldn't see any of that. Good thing I have a second hand that can show you.
polyfill is driving me crazy. So I put it in later. I usually don't use a hairdryer on this stuff, but the days when it would have mattered happened 12 years ago on this one. All right. Let's see if we can get it back in there.
Okay. I'm not very... I can tell you a story. Let me think of another story of my traumatic childhood. Let's see. I can't think of a story off the top of my head. I've already told the slide story. I've already told the story of the blue motorcycle set, which actually is my brother's story more than mine. But I was there. Okay. All right, there. We got the hand back together, so it's good that nothing I did messed it up. Okay, I just need to sew up this little seam that I ripped out of here. I got one hand done. Okay. Let's see. Story. Well, when I was 6 years old, I drew all the time. That's all I ever did. Was draw. I had asthma, so I drew a lot because it was I didn't really feel like playing a whole lot, and so I draw the cartoon characters and the in I guess it was 5 when I was kindergarten. I drew all the Hanna-Barbera characters and all the Peanuts characters and some Disney characters and stuff, and Popeye, and maybe I already told this story too. Anyway, my teacher was amazed. I would just draw all kinds of stuff all the time. I made wrapping paper, with all the different characters on it and the whole deal. And my kindergarten teacher showed it to the principal who didn't believe that I could draw. So I went in and drew for him, and then I drew for the whole school board, and then they ended up doing at the district office. I did a mural of all my drawings, and I think I told that part of the story before, but the part that I always remember is I was like 6 years old, 5 years old, down at the district office, my mom got this call from the local newspaper about that. Oh, they wanted to do a story about this kid that drew all these characters for the district office. So this lady comes, and my recollection is that she was like like this hippie woman, like the really long blonde hair and big flower, like a muumuu, came in and interviewed me for this article. And I drew for her, and then We went down to the district office, and they took pictures of me in front of the drawings that I had done. And so, I was super shy, and I took the pictures and everything. And then the lady says, why don't you take a picture with your brother there? And I instantly think, what'd my brother do? I did all this work. What's he in a picture for? He's not going to be in the newspaper. So they took a couple pictures of my brother. And he's sitting there posing like he was going to he was going to hang one of the photos. They didn't use any of those photos. They just used the photos of me. But oh my gosh, I was so like upset. Upset that my little brother was going to be in the newspaper after I did all this work. But whatever. My brother and I get along a lot better now, but back then, boy, that was a big deal. I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Well, it broke just at the right time. The other story that I remembered, that I just remembered as I was telling that story, was when I was, well, I guess I didn't really get over it until I was out of high school. But when I was growing up, I was obsessed with being on TV. Like, I wanted to be on TV all the time. Like, so my mom used to take me down to the local 7-Eleven so that I could see myself in the security camera, so that I would stop bugging her about being on TV all the time. And so I would go there and I'd look in the security camera. I could see myself. They had this big TV that was hanging over where the cigarettes and stuff were. Had this big TV where you could see yourself at the 7-Eleven, I guess, to deter shoplifters and whatnot, bank robbers, or I guess convenience store robbers. And so my mom would take me there, and I would, look in there, and I could move and everything. And then that would shut me up for a couple of days about being on TV. And then she'd take me down and do it again. Well, I get to be about third grade, and this has been going on all this time. We didn't go all the time, but every once in a while I would say, oh, can we go look at myself? And can I go look at myself at the 7-Eleven? And talking about, wanting to be on TV and whatnot. Well, at school, I had this teacher who, now that I think of it, she kind of exploited me in that she had me do all this artwork in her class. I made all these murals. There was this. I was in San Diego, so there was this whole thing then about the koalas being born in captivity at the wild animal park, and so she had this koala bear, Courtney the koala bear puppet, and she would talk about she would read from this history of San Diego to the class, and we'd all sit there and listen, and I'd be drawing, and so I drew a koala bear, and she was so impressed that she had me teach the whole class how to draw koala bears, which I did. And then she had me make a mural of the San Diego Zoo or Wild Animal Park or whatever. So I make this whole thing. It was huge. It took up a whole wall, this mural. It was all made out of construction paper, and they were cut out and everything. And a couple of kids cut stuff out and pinned stuff up, but I did all the work. I did all the drawing, and I planned the whole thing out. And I'm like 9, okay, in third grade. And my great-grandmother up in Fresno dies. And she had been sick for a long time. So she was sick and died, and so we had to go to the funeral in Fresno. So my dad and mom take me out of school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that week, and we go up to Fresno after I made this mural, and I get back on Friday, and everybody's talking about being on TV, and I go, what? And all this one of the mothers of my friends goes, oh yeah, I was sure I saw your whole class was on TV. And I said, for what? He says, well, that mural, they did a whole story on the local news, and they interviewed all these kids that worked on it. And I said, nobody worked on it. I worked on it. Like, that was my mural. And all my friends had been on TV, and I still didn't get on TV again until after I was a senior in high school. I was interviewed by the local news for something. But oh my God, yeah, those are two traumatic stories to hold you over. Yeah, he was my first stunt double. My brother was my first stunt double. Okay, so there's one hand. Make sure it goes the right way. This should be this hand. It is kind of twisted, but oh well. Okay. All right. So let me put this on. Let me go get my here. What did I do with those? Those would be in with this second. As I've been cleaning this place a little bit, you never know it from seeing it. But as I've been cleaning it, I've been trying to reorganize some stuff to make it make a little bit more sense. Like I put all the arm stuff into one bag or one box, so that like the tubing and the shoelaces and these little backpack strap things are all in one box. But as a consequence, I never know where anything is. So, all right, got one arm done. It would be this arm. I'm just gonna pop this off. I did this at a convention once, and everybody screamed out in horror as I was pulling them apart. Field stripped them. So this is a short fur. I have no idea what it's called. I wish I could find more of it because it's really good. It hides the seams really well. It's almost like a terry cloth, but it is a short fur. And it's the perfect color. Sorry, you're not seeing any of this. You're still not seeing any of this. All right, so there's all right, there's one of the arms. Okay. Great. Okay. See, he's got one arm now, which it's a horror show. Okay, let me get this other one done. Well, this has actually been going pretty easily. You know, you never know how these are gonna go. These retrofits. That. I don't know if I messed this up. See, I'm afraid I'm just twisting the top of this thing and not tightening it anymore. Oh no, that tightened it up. Great. You can see one of them is in. Okay. There we go. This is a lot easier to do without the hand already attached to it. So I've got to like maneuver around all this foam and everything else. Okay. 2 down, 1 to go. So if and when I get around to updating or retrofitting Eddie, that one might be tough because he has a really weird hand setup. I actually found one of his prototype hands yesterday, and it might be impossible to make this type of hand setup on there. But at least I have a prototype that I can try it out with and figure out a plan of attack if I want to try and do it. Or I might just leave him as is and make a new one. Because he's seen a lot of use, and there's some things I'd like to fix on him. Well, I might actually finish this today. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, this is old reticulated foam. When it started, it was like that. It's an old. I mean, I'm just trying to salvage this puppet. Is basically what's happening with this thing. It still has a little bit more life in it. It's not crumbly. It's still I used to build puppets out of this stuff because I get the leftover stuff from the actual painting jobs when I was first building over at BJ's shop, and so it's fine. The sooner you can get it covered up, the better. What year is this puppet? Probably about 2014. It was after they got stolen. Because I rebuilt this puppet when I was trying to get money from the insurance, which I already talked about. I mean, the thing about it is I haven't used these puppets very much, so they should have a lot of life still in them. I just basically built them and put them on. These are for the movie, basically. And once the movie kind of got canceled, they just kind of hung on a shelf. I haven't decided if I want to move on to Sammy or if I want to fix up Mayberry next. I'll tell you the advantage to both. I can shut that window. Mayberry has a lot of work to do on him, but they're all the same things we saw that I showed you guys on the Ralphs. Like I'm gonna use Foss-Shape to make a new body. What I just did here, where I'm going to retrofit his hands to take this other type of rod. I'm going to replace his eyes and antenna like I did on Roberta. So there's nothing new that I'm doing with that, but it does have to get done, and it would be fairly simple. I would probably do it in 1 or 2 days of work. But the last puppet I have to redo is the giant hamster, which would be building something from scratch, basically. I have patterns, but I'm sure I'm not going to use them, or at least not use them as they are. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I should start the hamster, or should I fix up Mayberry to get him done? The question was, have I ever made Muppet replicas? Yes, I've made Dr. Strange Pork, which I can go grab. I made Miss Piggy, which was a commission. It was the one that was dressed like Wonder Pig. You can look that one up on my my YouTube channel if you want to see that one in action. What other ones have I done? Those might be the only 2 Muppet. Oh, made a Swedish Chef, Poser, and Statler and Waldorf heads. Those are the replicas I've done. The thing about replicas that I don't like is that there's not I mean, you have to get creative to kind of do it. Like, there's no patterns, and so you're constantly just trying to get it as close as you can. But it's not like building a puppet from scratch where you're kind of the you're always going to especially if you're doing it for somebody else, you're always going to be comparing it to the original and seeing what isn't right on it. I mean, certainly my Strange Pork is not he's not photo perfect, but you know, it's a fun puppet. And he was a complete accident. I'll go grab him in a second. Get this hand done. Tell you what, this needle got super dull in just the time that I did the first hand. It's the same needle, but in the same time that it took me to, or in the time that it did the first hand, and right now, it's so dull. There also, when I first started building, I guess seriously building my stuff, there was kind of a stigma associated with building replicas, so I didn't make a whole lot of replicas early on. I think there is still a little bit of a stigma, I think. But I figure after all this time, if I haven't gotten a job with Henson yet, it probably is not going to happen for me. So I might as well make replicas. I'd be looking at my resume and be like, oh, we really like your work, but I saw you made a Statler and Waldorf back in 2024. I'm like, yeah, but I can explain. No, get out. I think you can learn a lot from doing replicas, though. Like, there's a lot of techniques that carry over into just trying to figure out how they did it. All right, there's his other arm. Hey, Laura, how's it going? The ones I have now, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 of the 20 or so puppets I have here now have permanent rods. I'll tell you what, this shoelace that I used in his arm, I probably should have replaced that while I was doing everything else. I'm not going to do it, though. It is like a braided leather, and it's so difficult to work with. I think it was all I had when I was doing this the first time. It's like a dress shoelace. But it's like a braided, it's so awful. Oh, wait. Okay. Phew. Thought I put his arms on the wrong sides. I use 36. I use a 30, but I double it, so that gives me about 18 inches for the arms. It seems about right. I've used longer ones, but 36 seems to be about right. That wasn't too bad. What, 2 days to fix him up? Okay. So yeah. Grab these rods here. All right, there we go. So I think he looks pretty much the same as when I started, but I did paint his eyes. So he's got wire inside of his ears. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I noticed in pictures his ears always seem to be really like pinned to his head. So I put the wire in there, I think, originally just so that in pictures he looked more like the cartoon character. Which let's see. There we go. And I do have legs for him. I made legs. This is one of the few puppets I have that have legs. But the thing is they just pin on. Like I don't have a system in place to put his legs on. So what is it? I don't remember if I've asked. Wait, I lost a question. Okay. I'll get back to your questions just real quick. I'll tell you what, it feels really good to finish these puppets, like these older puppets, getting them all done. All right. Let's see. Why can't I? Okay. Hey, let's see. I don't remember if I've asked this, but how did you meet and start working with BJ? Okay, so the way I started working with BJ is I had started doing some little melon pool puppet sketches as part of Kevin Smith's website, Quick Stop Entertainment, which used to be moviepoopshoot.com. A friend of mine became the editor there, and he wanted me to he needed content, and so I did some stuff, and Paul Dini and Misty Lee did some puppet stuff, and I think we had content every day, new content every day, and I think I went up on Wednesdays or Thursdays. But anyway, I did like 22 of these little puppet sketches. Some of them are still on YouTube, but I did these things, and then about 8 or 9 weeks in, I got an email from BJ saying, "Hey, I saw your stuff on this." We had a mutual friend, Ken Plume, who was the editor of this thing. "I saw your stuff. I see you're local. Why don't you come into the shop? I want to see your puppets." And so I went down there. I had 2 big trash bags full of the then melon pool puppets, which I think they were the 2005 ones, 2006 ones. So it would have been about 2006 that I met BJ. And so I would have been math. I would have been 34, I guess. So anyway, I met up with BJ, and he said, "Oh, these are great. I really like these puppets and stuff. And who taught you how to do it?" And I said, "Well, I just kind of taught myself because I couldn't find anything. Found some videos, I found some books, and there'd be like maybe in the books maybe 2 pages that would apply to the type of puppets I wanted to make. So I just kind of figured it out, and I picked up how to pattern." Um, uh, or how to drape fabric from watching that show Trading Spaces on TLC, because that's how they used to make slip covers for couches. And anyway, he said, "Oh, you're like 80% of the way there. Why didn't you?" I was out of work at the time, and he goes, "Why didn't you come in a couple days a week and rebuild one of your puppets, and I will, uh, I'll show you the more professional way to fix some of the things that you're having problems with." I said, "Oh, great." So I did. I went in there and over a month rebuilt the first melon pool puppet it was the Mayberry puppet. But he showed me things like the ladder stitch, and Carol Binion was in there, and she taught me how to make a neck sleeve, and how to pattern. And I was doing the wedge method to some extent at that point, which they didn't really do, but I still do that. Anyway, at the end of building that, he takes me to lunch and he goes, "Well, what are your plans for being a puppet guy?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm working as a graphic designer somewhat, but I mean, I'd love to do puppets full time." And he goes, "Okay, I'll bring you in as a builder on the next thing I do." And then the writer's strike happened, and then the actor's strike happened. And so he almost lost the shop when that happened. And so I was never able to be brought on as a builder. And by that time, I got rehired as a graphic designer at DirecTV. And so when he got back to work, he contacted me and he goes, "Hey, you know how to draw, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, now that since you know how to build and know how to draw, can you start doing my concept artwork for me?" And so I started doing that. And then he got me a job working on for Legacy, making the Nike puppets. And then that was kind of how my career in building puppets took off, or designing puppets. I did a lot of design and very little building until much later. But anyway, that was the short answer long answer about how I started working with BJ. Okay. Let's see what else. When you made the Foss-shaped tube for Roberta, did you use a buck? Yes, I did. I made a buck. In fact, making a buck, it might be the only time I ever made money at the melon pool stuff. No, let's see. So this is the buck. It's actually, I just basically patterned out her little body out of EVA foam. And originally it was attached at the back like this, but I couldn't get it off the form. So I cut it in the back. And then if you just kind of pin it in place, you can put the Foss shape over it and then hit it with the steamer. And the steamer doesn't create enough heat to undo the bonds of the barge, but it does make the Foss shape conform to it. And then I could, since it's split up the back, I could just pop it apart like this and pull it right off. And that's how I made the Foss shape. And I made another one for the Ralph body, which I'm going to use on Mayberry. So those will all get fixed. Anyway, I think those are all the questions, unless you have anything else. I think I might. I'm working on a commission right now that I can't videotape. I may not come on tomorrow, but we'll see. Because I need to get some work done on that. But I think probably the next thing I'm going to do is I'll rebuild Mayberry and get him up and running, and then I'll have 5 of the 6 done. And then straight on the morning to get the hamster done, and that'll be fun. Let me bring in Strangeport. So here's here's a strange pork replica, and he has the removable arm rods too. But I mean, see, he's not 100%, but just trying to make him not blown out. But you know, he's a serviceable puppet. Serviceable puppet. Here I am, Dr. Julius Strangepork. Here I am, trying to school these people how to make puppets. It's a very rapidly growing venture, and I hope you'll learn a lot because I could use some new stitches. So anyway, yeah. All right, there we go. So there was strange pork. You mean around the eyes, the black outline? Is that what you're talking about? Is a question. What do you use for the black outlines for Roberta and Sammy? Or Sam? This black. It's black cording, like you'd use for like bias tape cording, and I just hot glue it to the back of the plastic buck, and the plastic vacuum formed piece, and then I can actually sew into the skin to tack it down. But I did put posts on the back so I could just they're just screwed on and through the back, through the head. But like, I'll show you. So this is the latest Mayberry, which was done, I think it was about 2014. And he's seen some better days. The head's still serviceable, but you see the arms are kind of coming undone. You see how it's all like unraveling. The body is too. It's all coming apart there. His body's also pretty big, and his little collar here should be blue, but I think it's faded to like a gray color now. And his antenna are really like, they've seen better days. So what I want to do is and his eyes are all scuffed up. So I'm going to pop the eyes off. I'm going to take the antenna off. I'm going to take the arms off. I'm going to keep the arms, but I'm going to do what I just did on Sam to his hands. So we'll have the removable arm rods. I'm going to make new sleeves because I've changed that pattern. And I'm also going to make a new body out of Foss shape so he's not quite so bulky down here. In fact, I probably... so pop stitches happen all the time. The best thing to do is put a knot about every 9 stitches so that when you do pop a stitch, you don't have to redo the entire puppet. All right, so because they have similar bodies, you can see how giving him the thinner body is really going to help him out. Like, he's going to look a little bit more like the cartoon character. He'll have the black arms and the little tie, but I kind of like him better with a little bit thinner body. So that'll be an improvement. And the antenna, like Roberta's, will help out too. No, I probably should. I don't use a lot of, sorry, that's a question. Do you use a specific type of hot glue, like outdoor type? No, I don't. I probably should, but I don't. I just use, 99-cent store glue, but I don't really use a lot of it. I only use hot glue on the shoulders and on that little bit of eye around the corners, and then if I'm using this using Stacy's what do you call it, foam eyes, I put hot glue on those when I attach them to the doll joint that's embedded in the head. So those are really the only places. Everything I used to do mouth plates with them. So I think so his mouth plate that feels like it might have hot glue in there, and that might have been one of the last ones I did that way because they do kind of they're nasty. They nasty. What happened to his body? So anyway, yeah, this is the like it might be time to rebuild him from scratch, but I think there's not really a point to at this point because his head is still real serviceable. His hands are real serviceable. I use Antron on him. He's got the new eyes. So there's a lot of him that's still usable. And so I think I'm just gonna fix him so that I don't it's not a lot of work for him. So I'm just trying to get these puppets up out of the way. Okay, then the only other one is Sammy. So this is the hamster. This is Sammy the hamster, which he is a mess. So I have replaced his body out. This might be a body out of an old crank anchor or something. I'm not sure what this is. It is upholstery foam, but he's got no lining. Oh my gosh, his mouth plate is disintegrating. It's made of mouth rubber, and it's just I can feel it. Just like I can probably pull. Yeah, I can. Here, it's just disintegrating. So he is deed. He's deed. But yeah, he's got one arm rod, which this is. I don't even think this is welding rod. I'm not sure what this is made from, but I do know that it's not the way I did it originally. It's now it's got just the hole that's drilled down and it can rotate around. And the way that I attached it was by there's a doll joint sunk right here that so it actually moves, which I don't like. But anyway, yeah, oh my gosh, he's just falling apart more and more as I move around in here. Also, it feels like I used Gorilla Tape to make the hinge. So he's a pretty old puppet. Laura asked if I use a buck for the other body. Yeah, I have a buck that's just basically the size of my arm. So he'll be the next one I do after Mayberry, and then he's it. I've done everybody except Julia, which I think Julia is kind of a lost cause. I should just find a girl that can play her if I need her to. I'll just get Shelby to do it. Yeah, I don't. Ever since I found out about outdoor hot glue, I haven't had to buy more hot glue. I've used so little of it now. I could go get the buck for Mayberry too. It was holding up another puppet, so it took me a minute. So this is the buck that I used for the other. It's about the same size. It's a little bit bigger than my arm, but I can't get my arm up through it. It's too tight. Okay, first time seeing Sammy. Thanks for sharing. I'm surprised when I look back at puppets I made back in the 90s. Yeah, well, I actually have, I think, 5 of the Mayberries in a box in my storage unit. So I will get that tomorrow. And I'll do a little show and tell of all the things that went wrong over the years with all the puppets I built, and what went right, what things worked, and how they change. I have, let me think. I have 2001, 2006, oh, 2000. I have the 2001. I have the 2003, 2007. And then this one. I think I have 4 of them then. So I can show you different things on those. The original Melonpool puppet, actually the original puppets. Let me go get those. I know I've posted these before, but so those are the original Melonpool puppets. Let's see. Can you see those? So there's Sam, who's made out of a blanket. There's Mayberry, which is made out of like t-shirt material. Sammy was made out of fake suede, and then Ralph was made out of t-shirt material, a feather boa, and his eyes were made of the ball pit balls from McDonald's. So his pupils were so big to cover the M that was on the front of his his eyes. But so here I am, back in 1994. This is the first puppet I ever built. Was that one? So you can see I've come along a little bit. So there we go. So I think that's about it. I'm happy to have him done. He was fairly simple to fix. I think he turned out really good. Hopefully I can get a few years out of him. Yeah, and let me tell you, the reason why maybe I don't build legs, or I don't like to build legs now, is because that puppet kicked me in the head for 2 years. I hated those legs. And it's just from a performance point of view. It's like, I hate those legs. I actually have legs, though, so these are Sam's legs, which, again, they need to be pinned on in order to work. They're really weird, but that's his broken neck. So there you go. That's how his legs would look. And then Mayberry's legs, again, they just get pinned on. These little Mickey Mouse legs. There you go. So again, they always would kick me in the head. I hated those things. I don't like to use magnets. I'll tell you what I do like to use. It's right there. Where are his legs? So here's what I like to do. Here's Eddie. And this is the only puppet I've ever done this on, but it did work really well. Watch, it won't work well, but so he's got legs. And he also has chip clips on his there's a chip clip right here that I sewed into his body, into his leg. And then I can just clip him to the edge of his body there. Now he's got legs. And then when he can stand there, ooh, you know, if I want. And they're all articulated and posable. So yeah, that's the way I would do it. Anyway, the reason I don't like magnets is because you always end up hooking an arm rod with it, or having it stick to a table or something, and they just end up being more trouble than they're worth. So I'm not a big fan of magnets. But I mean, if it works. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna get out of here and get some work done, some real work done. But thank you for tuning in, and I should be on tomorrow, but I may not, so I'll let everybody know. All right, I'll see you guys later.